There we were, standing in the harbor where Vasco da Gama set sail on his way around the Cape of Good Hope to discover a seaway to India. A short bus ride, and we're exploring the city that Ferdinand Magellan left to circle the globe. The next day, marble columns surround us in the Muslim palace where Caliph Al-Hakam II ruled the Iberian Peninsula in the 10th century, and where King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella gave Christopher Columbus his sailing orders in 1492. Another bus ride, and we're passing beneath the walls of the Alhambra, the last of the Moorish castles to fall to Christian knights. From Lisbon and Seville, the Age of Discovery was launched as Spanish and Portuguese monarchs competed to win the spice trade. A few miles inland, Cordoba and Granada were among the most powerful cities in the known world. In the space of one lifetime, da Gama, Magellan, and Columbus, along with other Age of Discovery explorers, changed forever the sweep of history. For students, professors, and community members, the 2013 study abroad trip to Portugal and Spain was a moving feast of history and culture, much of it focused on that one incredible window in history. Lisbon, our first stop, is a beautiful port city built on 7 hills. Its highlights include the spectacular Hieronymus Monastery, where da Gama prayed for a safe voyage, and the Belém Tower, which has guarded the harbor for 500 years. It was headquarters for the discovery of most of the modern world. Portuguese is the 4th most spoken language in the world because of 15th century explorers like da Gama and Magellan. Seville, our next stop, held the summer palace of the Spanish kings and queens and also was home to the 2nd largest cathedral in the world. Magellan sailed from Seville, and for a period it was the official royal palace for Spanish monarchs, who took over the magnificent Muslim palace of Alcazar. Seville also was home to Spain's oldest bull ring and one of the most famous bullfighting festivals in the world, as well as the flamenco, which provided an enchanting evening for the MCCC group. Next came Cordoba, now a modest city of 300,000, which was the western capital of both the Roman Empire and the Moorish Empire. Its Roman bridge and Mesquita Palace are startling reminders of its famous past. 1,000 years ago, it may have been the largest city in the world, and its libraries and scholars contributed to major discoveries in mathematics and astrology. The Mesquita, originally the royal palace of the Moorish sultans, was converted to a Catholic cathedral in a way that left most of the Muslim architecture intact. It's like a secret door through history, letting visitors walk from an Arab sultan's chambers into a gilded Catholic cathedral. 300 years after the Catholic kings had liberated the rest of Spain from the Moors, the Alhambra still towered over Granada, the last Muslim stronghold in Iberia, and our 4th stop. It wasn't until 1492, yes, the same 1492 when Columbus set sail, that King Ferdinand finally recaptured Granada, pushing the Moors back into Africa. Today, the walls of the Alhambra still stand guard over Muslim temples and Christian cathedrals. It's widely considered the best example of Moorish architecture in the world. King Charles I, Ferdinand's grandson, spent his honeymoon at the Alhambra. He enjoyed it so much he built a cathedral there. Just outside the walls is one of the most spectacular gardens in Spain. From southern Spain, we bus to Madrid, with memorable stops in La Mancha and Toledo. The windmills of La Mancha are among the most iconic images in Western civilization for their role in the adventures of Don Quixote, the anti-hero of Cervantes' famous novel. They give us the tilting at windmills expression and remain today a dramatic reminder of the power of literature. We were treated to a special memory when art professor Gary Wilson and his student Britt Leslie both sketched the iconic windmills. Here is Britt's finished sketch. The approach to Toledo must be among the most impressive in the world. The castle and cathedral perched atop a hill, with the town spreading hundreds of feet to the river below. While the Toledo Cathedral isn't as big as Seville's, its interior is spectacular and its history just as significant. Spanish kings were crowned there, some of the royal jewelry and crowns are still stored there, and its elaborate gold and silver monstrance has attracted papal visits. Add to that the winding streets, quaint shops, and sword factory, and Toledo was among our favorite stops. Our visit to Madrid was dominated by a tour of the royal palace, and an afternoon in the Prado, Spain's world-class art museum, featuring, among many other highlights, hundreds of paintings by Velázquez, Rubens, Bosch, and Goya. By the time we had finished both tours, we were ready for a spot on the grass. But we also enjoyed the street life, eating at sidewalk cafes, wandering through vibrant neighborhoods, and exploring the markets, where it seemed like there were olives around every corner. Finally, we're boarding a bullet train for the ride to Barcelona, Spain's cosmopolitan port on the Mediterranean, and where we would spend our last 8 days. Barcelona is synonymous with Antoni Gaudí, the famous modernist architect. We spent hours at Park Güell, a community he designed in 1900 that is now a park and gardens. Gaudí intended it to be a new style of upscale suburbia, but rich Catalans didn't want to move out of the city, so instead it became a world-class park, complete with bizarre sculptures, soaring arches, and stunning views of the city, and a good place for artists to draw. We also toured 2 of Gaudí's famous apartment complexes, Casa Mia and Casa Batlló, where Gaudí's modernism reached into every corner and touched every detail, including the rooftops. We were surrounded by surreal shapes and colors, portrayed against a backdrop of soft clouds wafting across blue skies. We lingered for as long as we could, soaking up the amazing atmosphere. Some of us made 3 trips to La Sagrada Familia, Gaudí's famous cathedral, the official tour, then a follow-up to explore the inside, and a night trip to see the tower's reflection in a nearby pond. Mostly, we stared in awe at the cathedral that Gaudí began in 1882 and which is still under construction following his original designs. The spectacular towers reach to the sky. There will eventually be 16 of them, and everywhere are sculptures representing Christian images, all in Gaudí's distinctive modernist style. Inside, the arched ceilings and stained glass are similar to all the great European cathedrals, yet somehow unlike anything in the world. Another highlight of our stay in Barcelona was a side trip to Montserrat, a monastery, shrine, and site of pilgrimages since the Dark Ages. The monastery clings to the cliffs that tower 4,000 feet above the valley below, about an hour west of Barcelona. Some accounts date the monastery and its famous Black Virgin to the 8th century. Some of us enjoyed a day on the monastery grounds, while others hiked in the mountains, enjoying wildflowers, rock cliffs, and spectacular views. We took planes, trains, and buses, but walking tours of historic towns, towering castles, and dramatic cathedrals were our main mode of transportation. At each new city, expert tour guides, many highly educated in their locale's history and culture, led us through narrow passageways and up and down countless steps. Food and culture go hand in hand, and MCCC study abroad travelers took full advantage of the gastronomic splendors of Spain. From churros de chocolate to tapas feasts, exotic food spilled across our tables, both in group dinners arranged as part of a tour and cozy restaurants discovered by small groups who spread out across each city. The food provided an apt metaphor for the entire trip. Spain and Portugal offered a fabulous dinner table, spread with historic and cultural delights that kept us charmed and left us packed with memories. The 26 travelers from Monroe County Community College returned from Spain and Portugal fulfilled, but hungry for more travel.